Welcome to part 7 of the Europe vlogs. We only have a couple more of these to go before the trip is officially over, but for now, here is our time in Naples. On this day, the 5 of us stayed together and joined a guided tour of Pompeii. The lady who was our tour guide was pretty cool, and at one point she overheard Naomi and Leah singing to each other, and because of that, when we reached the smaller amphitheater, she asked one of them to sing. Naomi stepped right up and sang a little bit from The Little Mermaid. The way the amphitheater was constructed was really interesting for a music nerd like myself. Apparently they used different types of stones to create better acoustics for the performer, so wherever they stood, the sound waves would bounce off in a different way. And behind them was a canal filled with water, and the water would help to bounce off the sound waves back to the audience, which were also seated in a way that would amplify the sound from the performer. Throughout the whole tour, I picked up small little stories like the different rocks spaced out on the main road called Via dell'Abbondanza. This main road is the road that leads to the Forum, and it was also used to run waste through it, so the rocks are spaced apart so that the horses could pass through. The buildings on either side are shops of all different kinds. Our tour guide mentioned a lot of different food places and how you could see the different places where they would sell like snacks or meals. One of our first stops on this tour was this home. I believe our tour guide said that this was the only, if not one of the only, houses to still have its original roof on it. This house belonged to one of the wives of an important figure, and I wish I could remember the name, but it's been over a year now, and these are all stories from my memories. This house also had little bits of original color on the walls, so what you see is this really surprising and vibrant red and a yellow. Most of the places we saw were just made up of stone, so it was really nice to have a more accurate picture of what it looked like back then. They had so many different styles throughout the ceiling, on the walls, on the floor, and coming from someone who grew up in California, I definitely wish our architecture was a bit more like theirs. I'm actually also glad that I decided to join in on the trip to Pompeii. Originally I had said I wouldn't join them. Although I love history, I knew they had quite a few bodies still on display, and seeing things like that really weighed down on me. Thankfully I spoke up about it, and the 4 of them watched out for me and let me know when it was coming up, which is where we are headed next. The next part, we went to the bathhouses and got to see their version of a locker room. The way they constructed these baths by doing 2 floors and putting the boiling water in between them to heat up the water in the baths. And after seeing the baths, we headed over to the Forum and split off once again as they went to see other bodies on display, and I wandered the ruins by myself. I discovered this view at the edge of all of the ruins, and you can see modern day life while being in a place that is so set in the past. This next story I want to share, I'm only 90% I got all the details correct. What I remember is that this is their version of a courthouse, and because they feared there might be some retaliation exacted on the judges, they would place these removable stairs. They would place them so the judge could go up onto where they sat and then remove them so that they could give their judgment without any fear of something happening to them. After that, our time in Pompeii was over and we headed back to the cruise, and once in Naples we split up once more. But this time the 4 of us ladies went off on our own and we went in search of pizza. There's just something wrong about being in the birthplace of pizza and not having some. So of course we indulged. But first we had to find a place where we could go grab some. So we walked a couple miles in the heat and finally settled on this one restaurant that had a great view of where we had actually just been. So that was really nice, and we enjoyed our pizza. Another bucket list item ticked off. We walked back to the cruise for our last dinner on board. Personally, I felt pretty emotional saying goodbye to our servers, Jonathan and Matthias. Matthias especially was super nice, and we were able to bond over our faith. And he's from Central America just like my family, so I felt like we had quite a few things that we could talk about. After we took a picture together with them, we headed to the last show and then settled into lounges on the top deck to end our night. The next video will be the start of a new adventure and small disappointments. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.